Okay, now we're going to be talking about some of the differences between the House and the Senate. And I'll tell you ahead of time that the Senate is a really weird institution. It's very, very odd. There's a lot of, there are people who love the Senate, there are people who hate the Senate, and then there are people like me who both love and hate the Senate. And I'll be able to explain why in a second. But to explain it, I have to make a distinction between what I'm going to call majoritarian institutions and what are called non-majoritarian institutions. So let me describe what each of those terms mean. In a majoritarian institution, the way it works is it's set up in such a way that the majority rules. So that if you have a majoritarian institution and they're voting on something, whatever the majority wants, the majority is going to win. Okay, that's a majoritarian institution. In a non-majoritarian institution, the majority doesn't always rule. Like in a majoritarian institution, if you have 50% plus one, if you have one more vote than the other guy, or the other side, the other team, the other party, your side is going to win. In a non-majoritarian institution, just having one more vote than the other side, that won't necessarily get the job done. Well, the key here is that the House of Representatives is a majoritarian institution, but the Senate is a non-majoritarian institution. So let's go ahead and talk about what those two terms mean in the context of the House and the Senate. First, we'll start with the House. As I said, the House of Representatives is a majoritarian institution. There are certain benefits of being in the majority party. Now first, let me clarify, what do I mean by the majority party? Well, the majority party is the party that has the most members. Like, so every 2 years we vote for our members of the House of Representatives. And almost always it's just Democrats and Republicans and occasionally an independent. Whichever party has a majority of members, either the Democrats or the Republicans, they are the majority party. They're referred to as the majority party. Okay, so right now, for example, in 2012, the Republicans are the majority party in the House of Representatives. There are more Republicans than Democrats in the House of Representatives. So that's what being the majority party is. Well, there are certain benefits that come from being the majority party. First, on every committee and on every subcommittee in the House of Representatives, the majority party has more members than the minority party, right? So on every committee, of all the committees in the House of Representatives, there are more Republicans than Democrats. So anytime there's a vote, if all the Republicans vote together and all the Democrats vote together, on opposite sides, the Republicans will win every single time. In every committee and in every subcommittee. On top of which, the chairmanship, remember I said every committee has a chairman, and that chairman exerts a great deal of control over the agenda. The agenda meaning what the committee does and doesn't vote on, what bills it does debate and doesn't debate. The chairmen are in charge of that. Like I was telling you before about Phil's corn law. If I had a law that I wanted to, or a bill I wanted to debate in the Agricultural Committee, and the chairman of the committee didn't like my bill, I'm basically out of luck. It's not going to get it. There's no way I'm going to be able to get that bill debated in the committee if the chairman's really opposed to it. So the chairmanship of all the committees, every committee, if you're the majority party, then every chairman of every committee is a member of your party. So every chairman of every committee right now in 2012 is a Republican. So the chairman of all the committees who control the agenda are Republicans. There are more members, there are more Republicans than Democrats on every committee. Now this is important because most votes in the House of Representatives just require a simple majority. All you need is one more vote than the other side. So in committees, in subcommittees, on the floor, if you have more votes than the other side, and if your party is unified and they always vote together, the majority never loses. the majority never loses in the House of Representatives. If you have more votes than the other side, there's really nothing the other side can do but just mostly whine and complain about the fact that they have no power. And that's basically what they do. Okay, so that's why we call it a majoritarian institution. The votes that take place in the House almost all just require a simple majority. And every committee and every subcommittee have more members of the majority party than the minority party. So they win every single vote. On top of which, the chairman of all the committees are members of the majority party. Now, I just briefly want to go over the formal leadership of the House of Representatives. Not going to spend too much time on this, but just so you know this. In terms of the formal leadership of the House, the leader of the House of Representatives is somebody called the Speaker of the House. Right now, the Speaker of the House is John Boehner, a representative from Ohio. Now, he's just another member of Congress. He's nothing special as far as that goes. He's one of the 435 members of Congress, but he is elected by his party to be the leader of the party and the leader of the House of Representatives. So he's the Speaker of the House. And in our system, the Speaker of the House is a really important position. Because if something, God forbid, something should happen to the president or the vice president, if they were to die, they were killed, die in a plane crash, whatever, the vice president, the Secretary of State, the Speaker of the House would become the president. So in terms of the line of succession, it goes president, then vice president, then Speaker of the House. So if anything were to happen to the Speaker of the House, to the president or the vice president, the Speaker of the House would become president. Now, in terms of the daily business, if you were to flip on C-SPAN and you were to watch C-SPAN and see how things are going and how they run in the House of Representatives, you wouldn't see the Speaker of the House very often. What you will see is somebody called the Majority Floor Leader, sometimes just called the Majority Leader. The Majority Leader is also a member of the Republican Party, or in this case, or the Majority Party, in this case, the Republican Party. And the majority leader is the one who manages sort of the legislative business, the day-to-day business. He's the one or she's the one who organizes things, decides when there are going to be votes, when there aren't going to be votes. The majority leader right now in 2012 is a guy named Eric Cantor. He's a representative of Virginia. And again, he's just one of the 435 members, but he's been elected by his party to be the majority floor leader. So he's very important, and he works very closely with the Speaker of the House to go ahead and make sure that things run smoothly. So the way I often talk about it is sort of the Speaker of the House in a big war. If there are generals back in Washington, D.C. who are coming up with the plans, and then there are generals who are in the field, like executing the plans, the majority floor leader is the guy in the field, and the Speaker of the House is the guy back in Washington, D.C., right? Not really handling the day-to-day business. Now, there's also somebody called the minority leader or the minority floor leader. This is the member of the minority party. In this case, it's a Democrat. In this case, in 2012, it's Nancy Pelosi. She used to be Speaker of the House when the Democrats were in the majority. The majority floor leader is the chief spokesman for the opposition. But like I said, because of the way the House is set up, the minority floor leader really has no power. All they can basically do is get up there and yak and whine and complain about the fact that they don't have any power, but they really don't have the ability to do anything. So they just are mostly, they speak, they're the spokesperson for the opposition. And then the last bit of formal leadership that's worth knowing is there's something called party whips. Party whips. And these are like the majority leader and the minority leader and the Speaker of the House. This is something that people run for, and members of their party vote for them. So what is a whip? Well, it's kind of like what it sounds like, a whip, like whoosh, whip. What happens is, because the House of Representatives is a big body, there are 435 members, and each party has usually well over 200 members. And so what the party whips do is they act as a liaison between the leadership and the members. So if the Speaker of the House and the majority leader want to let the members know what's going to happen or tell them how they want them to vote on a particular bill, they'll go ahead and they'll tell the party whips. They'll say, hey, go out and talk to the members and let them know we're going to be voting on this bill and I really need your vote. Right? And so that's what the party whips will do. They'll say, hey, look, Speaker Boehner sent me over here to tell you we're going to be voting on the budget bill, and he's really counting on your vote. And this is something else party whips do. They're the ones who go ahead and pressure the members to stay in line. They'll go ahead and they'll be the ones who'll say, hey, look, Speaker Boehner told us, wanted me to let you know that that we're going to be voting on the budget bill. And, you know, I know you really wanted to be on the Agricultural Committee, and you're on the Agricultural Committee, and we're hoping that that's really good for you. But we really need your support, and if you want to be sure that you're going to be on the Agricultural Committee next time, we're really counting on your support. Or they may say something like, you know, the Speaker of the House came into your district and he campaigned for you and raised money for you, but look, if you bail on him here, I don't know if he's going to be able to find the time to come to your district next time. So the party whips will be the ones that kind of turn the screws to find, you know, to let you know, hey, the Speaker and the Majority Leader want your vote here. They'll be the ones turning the screws. And then lastly, what they do along with that is they count votes. What does that mean? If the Speaker wants to present a bill, he wants a bill to be voted on, for example, and he doesn't want to have a bill voted on unless he knows for sure he's going to win, that he's going to have a majority. So what he'll do is he'll send the party whips out and say, hey, go find out how people are going to vote. And what they'll do is they'll go out and they'll talk to the members of their party and say, how are you going to vote on this? And they'll turn the screws and see if they can coerce people into voting their way. And they'll count the number of votes that they have to have a bill to see whether they have enough votes to have a bill pass. If they don't have enough, then they may try and pressure their members a little bit more. But if they're not sure if it's going to pass, what they'll do is they just won't bring the bill to the floor. They just won't vote on it because the majority party doesn't like to lose on those kinds of votes. So whenever you see a bill that the Speaker has brought to the floor and that bill loses, that means that something went off the tracks. They're not supposed to lose. But the key here is that that in the House of Representatives, it is a majoritarian institution. A simple majority is all you need on most votes. And again, as I said before, in the House, every committee there are more members of the majority party than the minority party, and the chairman of all the committees are members of the majority party, and they control the agenda. So whether you're voting on the floor, whether you're voting in committee, whether you're voting in subcommittee, if the majority party sticks together and they vote the same way, they always win. That's the way it is in the House of Representatives. The Senate, much different.